As you continue down the road on your journey to return to the land, labor, and life, you're going to find that some days you're just going to have to stop all the rest of the work in order to clear the weeds. So this is today's project, is to get this side of the barn cleaned off. We've got quite a mess going over here. There's roofing metal buried up in the weeds here. We've got tires over here. I've got a construction cone over here, or a construction barrel over here that I have no idea where it came from. I don't need a construction barrel. Not sure what we're going to do with that. The weeds have gotten really tall. We've got curly dock growing up all through here. It's starting to throw seed, which is only going to make that worse. I see goldenrod coming up in here. We've had asters in there. Right up at the very front behind the barrel, we even have an invasive species from China. Not sure how it got here under the edge of the barn. Normally grows in fence lines, and it is invasive and very difficult to get rid of. So we're going to have to treat that one carefully. And we've got Kentucky bluegrass and all sorts of other hay and other field grass up in here. This is a dogwood tree directly in front of me. It's a nice specimen, but it's actually growing from inside of the barn. And there's no way this is going to be long-term viable. It's going to have to come out. It's already starting to bow out the bottom of the wall of the barn, and it's already tall enough that it could begin lifting up on the roof line, which is our big concern about these trees over here. We've got plenty of these dogwoods scattered around the property. We don't need this one. It needs to come out. Right behind it, we have, growing up the side of the barn, what looks to me like a summer grape, and it may actually have some usable fruit on it. No way to know right now. Well, I have to let it grow, see if it produces some fruit, and then we'll check it out. There are some poisonous plants that look like that and also produce the same type of berries, so we want to be careful with it. And then finally, back here at the back corner, we have another tree that is actually starting to lift up on the roof. And this was a specimen I was really excited to see at first. It's a white ash tree, and ash trees are very rare to see. These have been destroyed by a beetle, and they don't typically grow in the wild anymore. So I was kind of surprised to find this one just growing wild here next to the barn. It's possible somebody planted it there, but it's not a common place to plant something like an ash tree. Very slow growing, very dense wood, and also very prone to those beetles. So much so that it's never going to grow to adulthood. If we just leave it here, it will not survive. The only way to keep one of those alive into adulthood is every 2 years. You've got to have a professional come out and do injections into the wood to protect the plant. So we're going to go ahead and take that down today. We're going to have to break out the chainsaw and lots of other clearing gear to get all this out. And this is the work that we're busy getting up to. This is the labor that we're putting our hands to today. Anytime you're going to be touching electrical wires, please make sure you have one of these detectors, and you can make sure that it's a live wire or a dead wire before you start monkeying around with it. Hidden underneath all this grass and weeds are sheets of metal. This is roofing metal. Most of them are oddly cut like this one. They're not really very useful. I'm not sure why they were kept. And probably the most common thing to find on any farm in the state of Kentucky is old tires. We got about 30 of them. Now this is metal I actually need. This metal came off the side of the storage building. Not really sure how it got ripped off, but apparently it got pulled off in a storm or through some other disaster. Was just left lying in the weeds. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get this back up and protect that side of the storage building. Here's some more obviously useful metal. This is a big long piece. And it is the length that I would need to repair any sections of the roof that might have issues. So far we've been able to keep all the metal in place up on the roof. We're hoping to keep it that way, but if I need some repair metal, these big long strips are about the only thing I could use to do an effective repair. So I'm going to hang on to those. And then there's a big stack of these weird offcut pieces at strange angles. Anytime you're working with metal, it needs to fit to a 12-inch, 16-inch, or 24-inch on-centered spacing for studs or for rafters. And these things just aren't going to fit anything like that. Anytime you trim this stuff up, it becomes pretty much useless. Now these square panels like this, yeah, they might have some use. They would still fit. But all of these weird pieces that are off-cut like this, they're only good for the scrapper.
And pay close attention as you're picking this stuff up. Some of it may actually be of good use. I'm not really even sure what sort of a jack or jack stand this is, but it's buried up there in the weeds. I'll have to clean that thing up and see what I might be able to use it for. And there's always a use for bungee cords, and I'm finding a bunch of those up in there too.
So all of these little dogwoods are growing up from the roots of the original tree. They spread out like crazy around here. This is actually an invasive species. This stuff is used as a hedgerow, and it just keeps spreading out. Why somebody planted it up next to the barn, I have no idea. Yeah, it would be easier to take everything off at the top first to get it out of my way before we reach down into the bottom. But it would leave all that much more to pick up, clean up, and move around later. Try to keep it all in as few pieces as possible, so I want to cut all the way down there at the base. Wherever I can. I know it's getting kind of thick. Things still not a snake. We did disturb a relatively big salamander up under here. Good sized little critter. So keep your eyes around your feet. You never know what you're going to find down in here. So I've cleared all the way back to the ash tree there. We've got the lower branches cut off of it. I'm going to need a chainsaw to get that tree out itself. You can see it is tall enough that it is starting to threaten the roof line. So we want to make sure we get that out of there. We'll have to wait on this summer grape and see if it is actually a summer grape, not another species called a moonseed, which is actually poisonous. So we'll have to wait for the fruit for that. And these weeds are definitely in the way. So before we get around to any chainsaw work, I'm going to get the weed eater out and get all this stuff cut down so I can have a good clear look at what my footing's like. If you are doing a cleanup on a similar property, where somebody else has been living and tossing stuff off to the side like this, be sure you go through it carefully. There is definitely some good usable roofing metal in here. Most of it is not, and all of this stuff that is really obviously useless, I will take out to the scrap yard. I have one small idea for all these odd angled cuts. I may try to use this as weed suppression, deliberately as weed suppression along the edge of the barn. But I'll take a look at that at another time. More than likely this will end up with the scrappers. I'll have to save these long panels. They're definitely useful for repairing the roof. And I don't know when I might need roof repair, so I'll hang on to those. But we found a good wheelbarrow buried up in all those weeds as well. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The handles are a little weathered, but they're still solid. Tire's still good. It just needs some air in it. So you never know what you're going to find there in the weeds, so keep a close eye out. Sounds like the neighbor's got his tractor out. This weed eater makes a mess of you. But after getting everything cleared away here on the side of the barn, we've got a nice clean workspace, clean slate to work from. So that roofing metal, I may try to kind of wedge it up underneath the edge of this barn. You can see that the wood at the bottom of the barn has been wicking up water for a long time, and a lot of it's rotted away. We're going to have to do something about securing the bottom of the barn to keep the critters out. We can probably get a lot of good work done with just some chicken wire. And we can make this a solid bottom. At least there won't be any critters crawling in through the bottom. So we'll look into getting some chicken wire, and in the meantime I'll just look at laying in some of that roofing metal, kind of shoving it in and working it underneath the boards. Use it for weed control, make it more of a sidewalk. Obviously, I'm not keeping that metal for any other practical purpose, but it'd be a lot easier to use than, say, plastic as a way to control weeds through here. We'll have to come back later on this season when the fruit's on, take a look at this grape, see if we're going to be saving it. And I am going to take this ash tree down, but I don't think I'm going to break the saw out today. I'm going to need the chainsaw out to do some work on cutting wood for the winter, and I'll wait till I've got it out for that purpose before I take the time to set up and make this cut, take this thing down. So I'm just going to clip off these upper branches today, just so it doesn't tear the barn apart in the meantime. Also cutting the weeds away, discovered a willow out here. I don't know if this is a weeping willow or a black willow or a white willow or exactly what it is yet, but it is far enough away from the barn that it may actually be allowed to live here. So we'll leave it and see. And you can see the big pile of bricks we've uncovered here. So this is a wonderful resource as far as we're concerned here on the homestead. So we're looking forward to breaking into this and finding all kinds of uses for these bricks and cinder blocks. And yes, clearing away the weeds is a metaphor. It is something that allows you to get back to the labor and get back to work. There's going to be obstacles in your way. There's going to be weeds that have grown up around the base of where you need to be working. And you're going to have to take the time to remove those weeds. And I can't tell you what they are. You can take a look around you and see where you might put your labor in, and the weeds will pop up. You'll see them. If you have any trouble removing them, or you're not sure if you're actually looking at a weed or if it's a valuable plant like the potential of the grape back here, and you're not sure what you're looking at, then just drop us a note in the comments. Let us know what you're facing. We'll be happy to do what we can to help you out. Can't promise we're going to have any answers for you, but at least we might know where to point you in the right direction for those answers. Because it's time. It's time for all of us to return to the land, return to labor, and return to life. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, would you do us a favor? Just open up the subscription window and go ahead and subscribe. And while you've got that window open, please hit that thumbs up icon to let the algorithm know you enjoyed the video. They've been reluctant to share our videos out of late, and you can help us out a lot in that regard. And we'll see you next time.